And so the message that was kind of coming through was, can I be in pain? Can I experience pain and still trust in the divine? Yes, lay down, baby. Lay down. Sun feels good. I wanted to get on here today and discuss with you guys fear. And I figured while I do it, since it's like such a nice sunny day, I would open up this little kit that my friend got me. It's like a Suncatcher making kit, so I thought maybe that would be fun to do while we talk. Peanut is joining us today. She's enjoying the sun. She doesn't love it out here on the balcony all the time, so I'm kind of surprised she's coming out today. Usually it's a little too noisy for her, but she seems to be doing okay. Yeah, feels good outside, huh? This topic of fear is fresh on my mind, and so I wanted to discuss it with you guys today while I do this. And the reason this came up is because I had a doctor's appointment today for my knee. It was like a follow-up appointment since I had ACL surgery. I've been having some pain in my knee. I'm about like 5 or 6 months out from surgery now, and I've noticed some like sharp, kind of stabby shooting pains. And so I went to the doctor and talked about it with them. He described my pain as atypical for where I'm at in my recovery stage. And he kind of just said he thinks I need peace of mind. And essentially that like he thinks, you know, maybe other people might not necessarily have these concerns at this stage, which I kind of took that as like he thinks I'm just overthinking it, which I agree. Like I totally agree. Like I am overthinking it, but I still have the pain, so I'm concerned about it. But anywho, after that, I just like broke down. Like during the appointment, I wanted to start crying. As soon as I heard him describe it as atypical, I was like, ooh, atypical. That feels very scary, and I don't like that. And I was, after the appointment, sitting in my car, just like crying, because I felt so like frustrated, and I think also scared. You know, like, what if something's wrong? You know, just like leaping immediately to these like horrendous conclusions when I don't necessarily need to be doing that. As I was thinking about it, I kind of thought back to my past and kind of this pattern I have of anytime something out of my control happens, I like freak the fuck out and start spiraling and then just going into like catastrophic thinking. I realized that like in my childhood, or at least my like young, like, you know, teenage years or whatever, I didn't have like a great relationship with my parents, just like from some stuff that happened. And in high school, I had like an eating disorder, and I felt very out of control in my life then. And so in that time, like my way of gaining control was essentially to think, you know, and create this control over my own body. And doing that, you know, especially during the eating disorder, feeling like I had some sense of control in my life when I felt so out of control with like my family, that brought me some sort of like weird stability, even though it was like unhealthy. But anyways, I kind of just like am paralleling that with my experience now, because, you know, I feel great. I feel good when I feel in control of my body. And in moments when I feel that I have certainty or knowing about what's going on with my body, like before my appointment, when I thought, oh, I'm just having this like patellofemoral pain and like it's gonna get better with time, I just need to not overdo it so much, I felt good. I felt, you know, better with that conclusion. I felt like I had the answer. You know, things felt very certain. And so I felt okay. I felt in control. But then after my appointment, when I talked to the doctor and all of a sudden felt like, oh no, I don't know what's happening. This is atypical. The doctor doesn't know why this is happening. Now all of a sudden I feel out of control in regards to my body, and therefore I feel out of control in my life. And so then that's why I started to like freak out essentially and have this like meltdown. I know I haven't started any of this, by the way, but this is cute. It looks like there's these little different baggies of like different charms. There's like some moons. I see a butterfly. I see a hummingbird. We've got some little amethyst beads, some chains, some more charms, a little hook to hang it, and then the pretty parts. There's like a little Suncatcher and a star and one of those little spiral balls, and then there's looks like a few different sizes of like sparkly Suncatchers. That's cool. But anywho, so I had my like moment in the car when I was like crying and feeling out of control. And then after a while, I kind of reached a point where I was like, okay, I've like reached the peak of this emotion. And now what? Like, am I going to continue this cycle of just stewing in my emotion and feeling out of control? You know, going further and further down this spiral of misery? Or am I going to choose to be the magic woman, as Autumn from Autumn Brienne on Instagram often says? Am I going to continue in this spiral, or am I going to choose to be the magic woman and write a different story? This cycle that I've perpetuated in for like my whole life, I guess, it's like exhausting and I'm tired of it and it's not fun. Like, but at the same time, sometimes I think maybe there's a part of me that's like, this is easier than doing something different. Like being in this cycle, like I know this cycle and the cycle is comfortable and it's easier to stay where we are comfortable than to go somewhere new and different. So I was just contemplating all that in my car, and to help me calm down, I started listening to one of Diana Lopez's videos, which I don't know if you know who she is, but she's this woman that does like, she makes like guitar instrumentals that are sort of like meditative, like they'll be like an hour long or 3 hour long videos, and it's just like music, and it's very kind of like calming. And I had listened to one of her videos like a long time ago, but then never really got into it. But then a friend, someone that I know recently brought her back up to me, and so I started listening to her. And now I'm like, anytime I'm having a stressful moment, I'll like go listen to one of those songs. The particular video I was watching, she was like driving through this redwood forest and playing the guitar, and it kind of just made me think, like, these redwood trees are so... I've never seen the redwoods in person. I would love to one day. But these redwood trees are so tall, so old, so like strong, like in their foundation, in their core. Like they kind of have this sort of calm, like presence to them, I guess, that's like strong and steady. And in the moment when I was watching the video, it spoke to me, because like I did not feel strong or steady or secure, you know, in like my foundation, like in my core. This is cute. This is like a little sun. I think I might do that just because there's a sun here, there's a butterfly, there's another butterfly, a little hummingbird, and a moon. I think we'll do the sun because I'm liking the the sun for the Suncatcher. But anyways, so I was just listening to this music, and she was like singing in it, and she was saying something to the effect of like, it was like trust in the divine or something like that. I was just watching her sing and like play the guitar and seeming so peaceful, like driving through this redwood forest. And then I was imagining, like, I wonder what's actually going on in her life. And because nobody is peaceful like that, like all the time, you know, life, that's an impossible ask, I think, to be completely peaceful. Life is inherently full of challenges, and life, I mean, it's not, I'm not saying it's like a battle and a struggle, but you know, it's not, I think, realistic to have this perception that, oh, if I can just reach this ascended Zen state where I'm like enlightened 100% of the time, then I'll be happy and at peace and at rest. That's not really what true rest is. And so I was thinking about that and just being like, what if this woman was in pain, like when she was making this YouTube video? You know, we don't know what's going on in her life. And so the message that was kind of coming through was, can I be in pain? Can I experience pain and still trust in the divine? Because I think that's where the true sort of stability comes from, is being, you know, having these challenges come up in your life, but trusting and believing that things are always working for you, and like these challenges are always for you. There's nothing in life that we cannot overcome, I guess, that we cannot grow from and better ourselves from if we just choose to. I've been hearing a lot about post-traumatic growth recently, and I feel like our society kind of went through this period where it was very like trauma focused, I guess. And I even now I still hear a lot about trauma. Like, I think that's kind of a natural course of action, as like, you know, society used to not be so accepting of like mental health issues, and it used to kind of be like a taboo topic. But as mental health has become more mainstream, like the idea of mental health, and or like mental issues, I guess, as all that has become more mainstream, it's now kind of in the vocabulary. People are speaking up about their problems, and like as a natural result of that, people are talking about trauma and, you know, post-traumatic stress and like all this stuff. And so now society is very trauma focused, and you see some people, it seems, you know, that like you can easily fall into this trap of like, oh, I have a disorder, therefore I can never XYZ. Like, oh, I have anxiety, I can't do that. Oh, I, you know, whatever. Like, I have social anxiety. What really is social anxiety? Like, it might be severe enough to the point where somebody wants to say you have like a disorder, but really I think it's probably just a patterned way of being, and probably like a culmination of negative beliefs that you might hold at like your core about yourself and about your ability to connect with others. And so I think it can be easy to fall into this trap of, you know, I have this thing, therefore I can never do this. But in recent times, I guess, I've started hearing more about post-traumatic growth and how, you know, you can go through these challenges and stuff in your life and not let it mean something about you and your identity. You don't have to continue to be in pain I guess, after a traumatic event. Everybody experiences traumatic events. Not all events are equally traumatizing to each person. Everybody has challenges. Everybody's experienced things that have hurt them. But life is really about choosing to, at some point, make a different choice about how you're going to remember that moment, how you're going to let it affect you, how you're going to, whether you're going to choose to grow from it or not. And so I feel like I'm reaching that point with this cycle that I'm experiencing of just feeling out of control and feeling fear, feeling, being in the seeing something unknown, and instead of being upset that it's unknown and feeling like out of control because of that, I don't have to continue feeling that way. I get to choose to grow from it, and I get to choose to write a different story. I want to be the person that chooses to grow from their experiences. I want to actually practice what I preach. I want to be able to trust and believe that this life has great things in store for me, and that I will always be okay, even when I'm in pain, even when I don't know what's happening, even when I feel uncertain about my situation. I want to have that level of security and self-assuredness that everything's going to be okay. I feel like I have this deep longing to want to know that I just want to know everything's going to be okay. And I feel like in times when I get upset, that's what I find myself going to, is being like, I just want to know, I just want someone to tell me everything's going to be okay. I want somebody else who, it feels like I want somebody else who has the knowledge that, more knowledge than me. I want somebody else to be able to look at my situation and be like, oh, everything's going to be okay. Don't worry about it. I've seen this before. You're not the first person to deal with this, and it's going to be okay. Yeah, that's what I feel like I'm always going back to. And that longing, I think, comes from this place of not believing that I have that capacity within myself to feel that way. I feel like I can't do that, so therefore I need to search outside of myself for somebody who can. All right, I'm finally beginning to construct this. There's the little top. Yeah, I feel like I'm 27 years old at this point, and I'm like, why am I just now becoming self-aware? So on my way home, as I was just contemplating the whole can I trust in the divine even when I'm in pain? Can I find peace? And can I have this steadfast inner knowing? Can I be the person to actually conjure that within myself? And so instead of driving home continuing to cry, I decided to go to the store, get some ingredients to make myself a nice meal later, and I'm gonna go home and sit in the motherfucking sun because it feels really good, and I want some vitamin D, and I want to be tan, and I miss the warmth. I just need to warm up. I just want to feel like it would just center me so much to like sit in the sun. And so that's what I did. I went to the store, got my stuff, decided I'm going to trust that everything's going to be okay. I'm going to believe that this will get better instead of just continuing to mentally spiral. And I feel like this whole kind of like mental journey that I went on today, I've talked about it in my other video about how to like actually process your emotions in order to get to that like more kind of like calm state of being and like a more of a restoring that belief in myself. First, I had to like allow myself to take the space that I needed to feel everything I was feeling at the doctor's office fully. Like it's not just about feeling good all the time. Like I said, like I think life is about learning to hold your emotions and in a healthy way so that you can fully feel life, fully experience life and everything life has to offer and grow from whatever life gives you. And so that was kind of like the first step of what I did, was just allowing myself to be really fucking upset, really scared, really angry. I felt upset and scared because I felt out of control. I didn't know what was happening. I was angry because I felt like this doctor's just like, I feel like he's gaslighting me into thinking that I'm not in pain or something and like nothing's wrong, but I feel like, I understand, like I know that I'm overthinking things, but I'm still in pain and like I just want him to validate my emotions. I want him to tell me everything's going to be okay, and he didn't tell me everything's okay, and I'm angry. And that's what I was experiencing like in that moment. And so I allowed myself to take that time to really truly feel that, to cry, to sob, to like like in my car. I had to do that because if I didn't allow myself to do that, if I ignored my body's response to that situation, then inevitably I would be bottling up like all of those feelings. I would probably get, in the past when I bottle things up, I get chest pain. Like in the following days, my stomach just like hurts. I lose my appetite. I just feel off, and like upset and unhappy. I feel that I'm like in like a persistent state of discomfort, and I've done that enough times to know that that's true and that's what happens for me. And do I want to continue that? And no, I don't want to continue that. So I allowed myself to feel everything fully, and then I decided I am now going to decide to tell a different story. I'm now going to decide to disrupt the pattern and remember who I am and tell the truth. I am a magic woman. I can do and be whatever I want in this lifetime. This pain that I'm feeling is actually a good thing because it's allowing me, like this moment where I feel awful is allowing me to have this moment where I get to choose to take my power back from it. I get to choose to be a different person. And wow, like I'm so grateful for this opportunity to take my power back and to show myself like what I'm truly made of. I'm not gonna let this moment ruin my day. I'm gonna actually have a great day. I, felt so many emotions in the last couple of days, and this life is so crazy that we get to experience such highs and such lows. Like you can have moments of extreme bliss and excitement. Like yesterday I went to the Kim Dracula concert with my boyfriend, and that was like the most fun I've ever had at a concert. It was so fun. I was like shaking. I was like so excited. And I felt so good yesterday. And then here I was today, just like feeling like absolute garbo on my drive home. And how crazy it is that we live in this life where we experience things of such contrast and polarity. And like, wow, that's actually kind of awesome to be a human and get to experience all of this. Like, I actually wouldn't want to live a life where it's any different. I wouldn't want to live a life that's, you know, me attempting to not experience the fullness of everything life has to offer. I don't want to live a life where, you know, I only feel the good things, because that's not a very cool story to tell. That's kind of boring. And wouldn't it be so much cooler if I had a redemption arc? If I, like, the hero's journey, the best stories of all time are about somebody who fails and fails and fails and fails and keeps failing and reaches a point where they don't know if they can do it anymore, but they choose to, you know, continue believing in themselves, and they choose to keep going. And then eventually they win. They achieve whatever it is they're desiring. We love those stories because they're so juicy. And we want to believe, I think, that like it's possible to be excellent. It's possible to do things that are really fucking hard. It's possible to, like, people who run, or if you think about like maybe like David Goggins or somebody like that, like humans love hearing a story about somebody who had everything set against them and in spite of it believed in themselves and dreamed of something bigger for themselves, and in the pit of despair kept going on. Because I think it like, people who do that, it's actually so rare to find people who truly believe in themselves, like, to that extent. And I think deep down, all of us, whether or not you truly believe in yourself, we all want to believe in ourselves. We all want to believe that, like, we can do great things and be, you know, inspiring and to others and make a difference. We all want that. But not all of us believe we can do that. And so those stories are so inspiring because it's like, wow, like somebody actually did this. And so all that being said, I am choosing from now on, or at least right now, from now on, I'm choosing to believe in myself, to believe that, like, everything in life is orienting towards healing, and that I am going to achieve great things. But I'm going to choose to believe in myself, and that great things are in store for me, and that I'm actually so powerful, like, so powerful. I don't even know how powerful I am. It's definitely been a pattern for me to not believe in myself and not think that I can do hard things. It's pretty. I've got a star. There's like these little how many sides does this have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. An octagon. Star, octagon, moon, octagon, star. And then the sparkly guy at the bottom. I love suncatchers. They bring me so much joy. I have like a few of them in the apartment already, but anytime I don't know. They're one of my favorite things, I think. What do you think? Should we add anything? I like it a lot. I wish it had like maybe a little O-ring or something on one of the little spindles on the side so I could hang something from that, but maybe There are like some little holes. Maybe I could kind of finesse something. Finesse it. Maybe I'll do like a little amethyst with like a hexagon on the bottom. I think that would be cute. But yeah, so all that being said, I think it's best to not let fear control your life. Fear, I think, is an inevitable part of existing. We all get afraid sometimes, but we don't have to let fear control us. We can allow ourselves to kind of find like a homeostasis within ourselves. This is a nice way to end my Friday. I'm glad that I did this. Definitely feels better than continuing to mope. Not mope, but you know what I mean. Continuing to just be in pain, literally like mental anguish. And why would you want to live your life like that? Wouldn't you rather be able to feel all this stuff and move through it and allow it to make you a better person? Because that's what I want for myself. That's what I am trying to do. Become the person that is like the redwood trees. Somebody who is self-assured, who has confidence and believes truly that everything in life is always working out for them. If we don't get what we want, we're getting what we need to become the person who has everything that we want. And believing that, you do kind of, I think, have to sort of brainwash yourself a bit to believe this. I used to think of myself as a very like realistic, quote unquote, person, but what fun is that? Like, I don't want to be somebody who thinks of themselves as realistic. I want to be an optimist. I want to be someone who believes that amazing things are possible. Not only possible, but that they're happening, and they happen every day. Wow, this has a lot of rainbows. But yeah, I want to be someone who trusts in the universe, who trusts in the divine, even when they're in pain, even when they don't necessarily feel good, even when they don't know what's in store for them, what's going to happen. Want to be someone who trusts that everything will always be okay. Because there's moments like this. Anyways, I think we'll stop there, but I'm gonna get a little clip of this guy for you guys.